Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the four-legged walk cycle tutorial series. In this episode we're going to be focusing on the front legs. We're going to attach them to the back and add a torso in between. Let's get to it. Okay guys, here we go with part 2. This is picking up exactly from where we left off. So we've got these legs walking, which we did in part 1. So let's get cracking with part 2. We're going to start by just importing the assets. So this time we're going to need the front legs. Again, retain layer sizes, import. So just to demonstrate how I built up the files in the rear legs composition, if we drag in the front legs, they'll line up nicely in place. So the head should fit in around here as well. So I designed the whole illustration in one document and then broke it up, so that's why this fits perfectly together. Just something to bear in mind if you're drawing your own. Right, so we're going to do the usual process so far. We're going to just quickly rasterize all these layers. I'm going to quickly expand this toe because we're going to need to change the color of the foot later on like we did before. Let's get these joints and we'll do the usual, dropping in the rulers. I might even fast forward this bit so you don't have to watch. Right, so there we go. We've got the joints all rigged up. We're just going to go to view, clear guides. Now we just need to parent the calf, toe to the calf, calf to the thigh, and the thigh to the torso, like so. We can delete the dots, and for this one we're going to be doing the IK chain on the actual foot. So we'll launch DUIK and we'll add a controller, create. I'll name it this time because I forgot to do it last time. So I usually call this like front foot controller. And we're going to make this just red or something. So the order is toe to the calf, to the thigh, and the controller. And we're going to go to IK and make sure it's 2-layer IK and click create. So now we should be able to move this and we get these nice bends, almost like a human leg. And then if we have the rotation, you can see we can also rotate the ankle out like so. The front legs are much more simpler than the back, which is great. So we're just going to zoom in here, and again we're going to drop in a floor. Right, so the next step is to do the layering again. So C for contact, come forward. So we want these to be in sync, so we had 3 on the down. So again 1, 2, 3. Just going to zoom this in a bit more. Here we go. D down, gonna come forward 10 frames, and this is the contact, go back 3, this is the up, go forward 6 for the down, jump forward 10, and this is the loop, and back 3 for the last up. Alright, and this is our work area. So we'll start in the same fashion as before with the torso. So this we're going to control for the ups and downs. So when we move this, we get the bend in the ankle. In the knee, not the ankle. So we're going to keep the position where it is currently as roughly the pass in position. Contact, we're just going to bring this down a wee bit. I'm just going to go here, just add in a ruler. Let's just see if I can size this up a bit better. There we go. So I'm now just going to select both of these frames, copy them there, copy them here, and delete that one. So we've got the contacts going slightly down. We'll just work on the first position. So contact. The next contact is going to be at the front, similar fashion to the other one, where it's going to be a kind of placing with the hoof bent inwards so it can collapse down onto it. We'll come to the end here, copy and paste those last frames again. So we'll do the passing position, we'll raise this up, and again we're going to just customize these ever so slightly. If you turn this little toggle mask and shape path visibility off, what this will allow us to do now is get the convert Vertes tool, and you can click and drag here on the path to get some handles, so we didn't have any. So then if you hold Alt, you can then break the handles so you can control them individually. And I just want to push this one up, maybe adjust this position just so we get this kind of raise in motion. That might be a bit too extreme, but we'll see how it goes. We'll leave it like that for now. So then again, on this down, we want this to rotate to probably 0. Yeah. And then we want to position that so it's on the floor line. And let's just feel that out. So I'm even going to make that go up a little bit. So we get that kind of toe rolling across the floor and then dragging out straight across the back, like so. Let's just do a quick preview of that. So then we'll do down. I'm just going to get my reference one up again for the front legs real quick. When I do animate, I usually use the Richard Williams, what's his book called? Animator's Survival Guide. Something like that. Highly recommend referring to this book when you're doing some of these more complicated walks. But in particular, there is one, Williams horse walk cycle. If you type that in, you should be able to get this kind of sheet, and then this is really interesting. In the book you can obviously see it a bit better, but you can see how the hooves and stuff bend and how they should interact on the ups and the downs, and it's just a great resource to look at. I'm not going to use that for now though, just because I'm trying to keep the time down on these tutorials. So I'm just going to quickly look at what's going on with ours. So we kind of got this upwards motion before the hoof caves in on itself and slumps back again, so I'm going to try to replicate that. So think I'm going to achieve that by just pushing this slightly up, so it kind of goes up, and then on the down I'm just going to rotate the ankle this way to get that lift motion. I'm already pretty happy with that, to be honest. That's looking pretty good. Might actually just leave that like that. That was pretty straightforward. That's done a pretty good job. Obviously you can spend a while doing all the graph editor work, but I'm going to keep that to a minimum today, just so we can focus on how you put it together, and then hopefully you guys can take it a little bit further after this tutorial. So again, we're just going to rename this composition, and we'll call this front, what are we going to call this? Front leg front, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. We'll do that. And Taylor Cox likes my video. And we'll call this one back. So we'll open up the back one. We're going to have to do the usual again, where we select all these, clone them out, and we're just going to drag the contact from here to the front, so we've got the reverse walk cycle. And again, it's screwed with our motion paths, so we're going to have to just quickly edit this. Oh yeah, if you click here where it says position, this will select every single position keyframe, and what that does now is we can see all of our handles, so we can just select the ones that we need to manipulate. And I believe that should do it. It's looking alright. So let's go to the rear leg here, and we're going to steal this fill color, and we're just going to apply this to these four layers, sorry. And inside the toe, we're just going to quickly recolor group 1 and 2 again. Boom, there we go. So now we've got the coloured front and back. Now I realise as we finished the first part where we built the composition like this for the rear legs, that's not how I did it in the end actually. So the way I actually ended up doing this was, if I rename this rear legs, I'm going to call this front legs, and then we would have one called back legs as well, but what we're actually going to do is remove this layer, and actually we're going to remove all of this. So what we're going to actually do is, let's just get the layers I need. So we're going to copy all of this into here. We're going to delete the pre-comps, and we're going to copy these as well. So the front legs becomes a master comp, where red's for the front, yellow's for the back. And here we go. Now for the legs, they kind of work oppositely. Oppositely, that's not the right word. So when this leg's at the front, this one will be at the back. So we're going to have to clone these out. Select the contact position, which is here, and we're going to drag it to the back. So they kind of work like this. Again, Just going to quickly select the motion path because it's messed up once again. And we're just going to drag that to a straight curve, like so. But they're not perfect, they're not supposed to be perfectly in sync. I can't remember how many frames it's off, so we're just going to tweak this until it sort of feels right by dragging these. I'm going to select here and here, and we're just going to nudge them. It's this position we're particularly looking at. So I want this one to be almost leaving as that one stomps down. Let's just try that quickly. What is going on here? Sorry, I'm just going to go back. Something's gone wrong. We've got some weird issues going on here. I think when I cloned it, something went weird. Right. That's looking like they're in sync. Just about. Just going to toggle down all my layers quickly. So we obviously did the front one slightly off. Just going to readjust these keyframes quickly. I seem to be about a frame off on each one, which is going to cause syncing issues, so let's just try and correct this quickly. I'm just going to press tilde real quick so I can see a better view of this. So we want all of these keyframes to kind of line up, which they currently don't. Let's try that. It's looking better. Right, let's try the clone again. It wouldn't be a Matt Wilson tutorial without everything going wrong. I'm glad you guys agree that my mistakes help you out, because frankly it just comes down to the fact I'm not very good at making tutorials. Right, so let's try this again. Let's drag the contact to the front. Just going to check my reference again real quick. Seems like the spacing on my other one was a bit better. As you can see there, we're getting like overlaps on ours and it's not quite working. So basically what's happening, as this one's about to pick up, this one stomps down. So I'm actually just going to grab the torso, select all the position keyframes so I can just slide it over slightly. Okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? It's because the controller isn't... I'm just going to quickly link the controller to the torso. By doing that, when I slide this frame over, like so, I can basically move it all with it, like so. Oh shit, don't do it. So we need to slide it over so it's out the way, and then make sure we unparent it again before we start to test out the animations. This is going to make a longer body. Actually, I know what the problem is I've got... Okay, I'm going to undo that quickly, because that's going to make an ugly walk cycle. So what the problem is it's the rear leg like I said, they get fiddly when you're doing four-legged animals. It's basically the rear legs positioning, which is this bit, is coming too far forward, which is why we're getting the overlap. So we need to just pull this frame back, pull some of this back as well, and to be honest, it's probably a bit of both, so we've probably got this bit stretching back a little bit too far as well. So we're just going to play with this a wee bit until we get a bit of a nicer space in between the two. So I almost want to do that so they're not quite overlapping. And now we're going to have to fine tune this rear leg a little bit. Let's drop a floor in here. I just want to push this back a bit more as well, I think. So I want to select both of these keyframes, nudge it back a bit. Actually, wait, let's select this N1 as well so we can move them all at the same time. Nudge that back there. It's going to go further back. And we've got some horrible sliding going on this down. Let's check this out. Let's not have that dip like that. Let's just have a quick look at that. Okay, I'm not in love with that, but you get the idea. It's basically, you're going to need to fine tune these legs a little bit when you pair them together. So when this bit's now floating up, what's going on here? This is still parented, so let's unparent that. I thought I did that. Right. I mean, it's not looking awful, it's just not as good as my original attempt I did, because I spent ages fine tuning it. But yeah, so as soon as this foot reaches the back, you want this one, the tire, to be hitting the floor, so this one can then take the weight as this one leaves the floor. So it takes the weight, leaves, takes the weight, leaves, and that's basically what we want from the loop. Really don't like this rear leg anymore. I feel like I've not got the charm on this one. It feels a bit nicer. Okay, so anyways, here's our loop. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to duplicate this whole composition as we were doing before, but we're just going to clean the ends off here. I'm just going to quickly slide this out and clean up these frames as well. I think that will do us some justice later on. Still playing, okay. Right, So now we're going to go to the front legs pre-composition, duplicate this, and we're going to call this rear legs. And this is where we're going to need the to do these fills again. To RSO break this one out, hit P and A for positioning anchor point, P and A, and we're going to copy these values onto here to line that up, delete the old one, and now we can get the colors. Finally, we'll just quickly do it for this one. There we go. Right, so now we've got these keyframes. Now we're going to have to select all of this keyframe data, hit clone, and again where the contact is here, we're now going to have to select all these keyframes and we're going to move them to the front. I just realised I haven't got my software on while I'm showing you the keys. I hope that's not an issue. I will turn it on now quickly, but you have missed out on that. Here we go. Apologies for that. Oh, we've got some lovely errors going on here. So again, it's going to have to come in and do a little bit of cleanup of certain paths from the motion clone. I'm not sure about the rear one. The front one looks like it copied alright. I think it might have. Anyways, so we've now got this motion. So now we will go ahead and make the what should we call this? We'll call this horse complete. And we'll select the front legs and the rear legs, drop these in. And we should have if we come to here, jump back in here, this should show us. No, why did that not work? That's because that's the wrong leg. So we come to here on our loop in this pre-composition, we jump out here. It'll show you where the loop ends, which is this frame here. So we can just put an L there for loop. So you want to come the frame forward it. Hit OK. I've done that wrong. Sorry, that's not where the loop is at all. The loop is here. So now if we hit render, we've now got the legs walking together in sync and it kind of looks pretty cool. I think we probably could have made a bit more use of the ups and downs, to be honest, but yeah, just to quickly show you, by offsetting the the walks, what this will do is when the rear is up, the front will be down, and when the down is up, the rear should be down too. Why is that not synced up properly? Let me just double check. So these two should be synced. These aren't synced up, that's why. If these keyframes were to be synced up properly, it should do it nicely. Let's just go through. So we got this down, up, down, and then we've got yeah, and again yeah, which will give us some nice spine motion. Just gonna have to quickly do that to the front legs as well, because I have got some of these torsos slightly off. It's this frame. Anyways, complete horse. That's not looking so bad. Check saving. So now on the front leg layer, what we're going to do is use a script called Rubberhose. Where is it? It's not open. This is the old version of Rubberhose. Okay, I'm going to quickly pause it here and resume, because I'm running the old version of Rubberhose and I could do with the new one for this. I will be back on in a slight second. Okay, so sorry about that guys, I didn't have Rubberhose installed, so instead of putting you through installing it, I just quickly paused and set it up. So Rubberhose 2, we're going to come here, this is what it looks like. I'm going to click this, which will give us a new hose, which we're going to use for the torso. So the wrist, actually wait, hang on, I'm going to click manage, I'm going to rename this hose, we're just going to put start and end, and we're going to call this torso. So the end point we're going to connect to the rear, so I'm going to quickly hit tilde. So we're going to connect by grabbing this pick whip. If you hold shift as well and we click on the fly, what this will do is tell this to be positioned in exactly the same spot and parent it to it. And we're going to do the same for the start to the torso layer, like so. So now when we hit play, these will be attached and in position with our ups and our downs. So on the end, we're just going to quickly adjust this length until it almost goes blue. Something about there. And in the torso layer, I'm going to get the fill here, make it the nice colour we got there, and we're just going to bump this up until maybe 110. So now that feels a bit stiff to me, so I'm going to just give it a bit more curvature. that's how we add the body. It's feeling pretty stiff. I think I've done something wrong with these layers. I think our ups and downs just aren't extreme enough. And to be honest, I think there is an issue with some of them. Just going to drop some rulers in. Just going to quickly turn that hose off. Trying to figure out what's going on here. And I'm just going to solo this part and this part. Just going to look through my walk cycles individually quickly. I think what I'm going to do is just make the downs a bit more down, give it a bit more extremity in it. I'm going to do the same for this one. That could be our problem there. No, that's not. Just going to refer back to that animated survival guide drawing real quick. I have a feeling I've done the sinking slightly wrong on the horse. Let me just, on the horse. It's that page I want, but it's the one that's blown up a bit nicer so we can see. It's definitely up there and down, so I think I've got the offset of the walk slightly wrong. Just going to select these layers and have a little play. Okay, we're just going to leave it for now. How does this look like in here? I'm aware I'm wasting your time. I might look into this between now and part 3 and see if I can figure out where I've gone wrong. I think I've gone wrong slightly here. Now, as you can see here, we lose kind of, because the shading's the same on the torso, we lose the whole leg essentially. So what we're going to do is move the torso to the bottom. We're going to add, inside the contents, we have a style for the hose. We're going to just add a stroke, gradient stroke. So we'll put this to 110 as well. We're going to click edit gradient and we're just going to select the colour we got there, and I'm going to ideally want the darker colour, but I don't have it right now, so I'm just going to pick a colour for the minute and then adjust these endpoints to be down here and the start point to be somewhere like that. So now we get a little bit more definition, so we don't completely lose the walk that we were building. And I think that looks alright. So then when we got the complete horse, it's all moving together, you get these nice kind of overlaps. I do realise that because I edited downs, it's not going to be affecting the back layers as well, so I would have to go and make the changes again on the rear. As I said, it gets fiddly because these downs would need to be corrected. Between now and the next video, I would just jump in to save some time and just correct the back so it matches, so we get a better walk cycle. But for now, I think that will do. We'll leave this here and move on to part 3. So there we have it, guys. That's how we do the legs for the walk cycle. Join me in part 3, where we'll add on the head and we'll add a neck, and we'll also do some refining to the walk cycle. See you on the next one.